Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good day everyone. My name is Nur Hidayati binti Irawan and my metric number is 267990. Today I would like to present on the case 5, which is text for the CFO. Should Pfizer acquire Allergan? What has happened in this case? Let me explain it briefly. Pfizer's revenue has declined for year 2012-2014. It has affected the ability of Pfizer's financial performance and its competitive position in the pharmaceutical industry. In November 2015, Pfizer need to decide whether to stop or proceed the merger talks with the Allergan, the company that resides in Ireland. As has been mentioned that the revenue of Pfizer has declined over a few years, that is why Pfizer is seeking for the merger. To be specific, Pfizer need to merge with the company that resides in the country that has low tax rate, which is Allergan. How Allergan's financial performance and condition fits Pfizer's need? Since Allergan is tax resident in Ireland, the tax rate is much lower than the rate in US. Moreover, Allergan has focused on their strategy on fast-growing brand that provide the company an extra opportunity to grow industry. In this case, the merger decision will result to the company to involve in tax inversion. So, here's come the dilemma whether Pfizer should proceed or cancel the merger talks with Allergan. Before we go further, let us look into the character in this case. The key protagonist in this case is Frank D'Amelio, the Chief Financial Officer of Pfizer. Meanwhile, for the supporting roles are Allergan's company and the US Treasury Department. There are many aspects that need to be taken into consideration when making such decision whether to proceed or cancel the merger. The first one is on the changes of the policy by US Treasury Department. The second one is the advantage and disadvantage when proceed with the merger. And the last one is the legality in tax planning and management. Now let us move to the discussion. The first aspect is on the risk that might be faced by Pfizer if the company proceed to merger. It can be considered as the biggest risk as it involves the regulatory and policy of the country. It is because the matter cannot be controlled by the company since it is an external factor for the company. Once Pfizer proceeds with the merger with Allergan, the tax inversion will occur, where Pfizer will move the tax residency to Ireland, where the Allergan tax is reside. The action on moving the tax resident to the lower country, of course, will trigger the US government as the tax collection is one of the government's revenue. The government will not receive any tax from Pfizer if they proceed the merger as the resident move to the lower tax country. It is not fair for the government as the operation is at the US but the tax resident at the other country that has lower tax rate. So, the policies that highlighted on tax inversion will affect the decision on the merger. The next discussion is on the advantages and disadvantages when proceed with the merger. For the advantages, the first one is lower tax rate from 25% to 18%. Next one is the tax saving. The third one is becoming one of the large player in the industry, and the last one is can reduce the cost of repatriation. And further disadvantages, it will involve the cost of merger and premium paid to the Allergan, activating the breakup clause, the threat on the changes of the policies, and the last one is the profit become locked into the low tax country due to the transfer pricing. The last discussion is on the legality of the tax planning and management. The terms that will be discussed which are tax avoidance and tax evasion. Tax avoidance is the legitimate minimizing of taxes and minimize of tax income using method included in the tax code. Tax evasion is, on the other hand, illegal means to avoid paying tax. Both definition is by Murray 2020 from her article entitled What is the difference between tax avoidance and tax evasion? In addition to the definition, the tax avoidance is a legitimate strategy to minimize the tax. Meanwhile, tax evasion is an illegal act as it leads to the not paying the tax. In this case, as has been mentioned earlier, Pfizer will involve in the tax inversion if they continue the merger. The tax residency will be moved to the lower tax rate country, which is Ireland. Due to that, tax inversion is one of the tax avoidance strategy. Same goes to the transfer pricing strategy, as has been defined by Mickley and Owsley, 2013. In an intercompany transaction, a transfer pricing is the amount charged between the linked party, for example, a parent and a control company. If it does help Pfizer to lower the tax paid, but it will lock the profit in low tax country. In this case, the decision on the tax inversion strategy is indeed legal way to minimize the tax, but in terms of responsibility towards the government and society, it kind of non-ethical action, because as we know that the tax collected by the government is for generating the public revenue in order to finance the human capital and provide the services for the people in the country. After all the discussion, it is recommended to Pfizer to cancel on the merger with Allergan due to the outcomes from the previous discussion. The first reason is on the threat on changes of the policy by US Treasury Department. As has been mentioned, when it comes to the government, it will be hard to control as the company is operating in the country that have rules and regulation. The risk will affect the decision on the merger either before the date of the deal or after the deal. It has been mentioned that the MLU legal team confident that the changes will not affect the merger plan because Allergan shareholders hold more than 40% of the combined company, where it is threshold in the updated regulation. But who knows that the US Treasury might change the regulation again because it is all about the control and the tax collection is their revenue. So, if the changes might affect the merger, Pfizer need to cancel the merger after the deal. And they need to pay the breakup clause amounted $400 million, and it is such a big amount. Due to that, by cancelling the merger before the deal date will save the breakup clause cost and will not face any risk by the government on the changes policy. Another reason why Pfizer should cancel the merger is by looking on the financial matter. The financial matter that need to be highlighted is on the cost of the merger with premium cost and the amount of the tax saving. The cost of the merger, which is the stock-for-stock merger, is amounted 152 billion, and Pfizer will pay 30% premium over the pre-announcement share price to the Allergan amounted 45.6 million. It is mentioned also in the case where the tax saving is estimated 1.4 billion for the first year and the merger and increased by 2 billion by the third year. Let us look into the estimated tax saving when the company proceed the merger. The additional information that can be used is on the projection additional growth by 5.7% in the pharmaceutical industry for the next 5 years. The combined profit calculated by using revenue projected formula. Assuming that the difference was the estimated tax saving, if the company proceed the merger and reside in Ireland with the tax rate of 18%, the total estimated saving for the next 5 years is lower than the premium cost paid by Pfizer to Allergan throughout the merger. Even though the merger will reduce the cost of repatriate the 74 billion of overseas cash, the profit will look at the low tax country. The last reason is on the legality of the tax planning and management. As has been discussed before, decision on the merger will result to the tax inversion, which is one of the strategies on the tax avoidance. It's indeed legal, but a little bit unethical since it involves the government and their tax collection, which is the revenue for the government. The tax collection will be given back to the society as the fund owned by the public. Pfizer should not proceed with the merger as it looked like they wanted to reduce their responsibility in paying the tax. Overall, Pfizer should cancel the merger with Allergan. It indeed, when the company merger, it gives a short-term benefit, but after analyzing other matters, cancelling the merger is the best choice. In conjunction with that matter, what Pfizer can do is do the tax planning ethically to ensure that the tax efficiency. For example, put a deep understanding in the industry and the incentive that associate with the businesses and operation that has been carried out by Pfizer. It is to ensure that the company can manage the income and expenses, whether it is chargeable for the tax or it is exempted from the tax computation. Other than that, a proper tax planning will not involve any litigation in courts as compared to the tax avoidance. That's all from me. Bye. Have a nice day.